Hi everyone, I am back giving a tutorial. I'm quite excited. I'm in the midst of actually moving home, so we've been in packing and in boxes all around us, and I thought, oh my gosh, I've got another tutorial. My Saturday 11 a.m. and I think where this course is originating is your 7 p.m. On a Friday evening. So I thought, oh no, I've got to get something ready. But because I've been packing, I haven't had the time to do this, and my guides always love to push it really late so that I don't mess around with content. So for those who don't know me, I'm going to be putting this on YouTube. My name is Philamae, but my higher self is iPhimo. Phimo is Philamae's mojo, for want of a better name, and the I is me in co-creation with them. So I would have explained this in my other videos. Hi, I see someone joining in, more will come in. But anyway, so this time around it got even more stressful because I haven't had anything written. So I'm meant to start at 11 a.m. and I went to sleep because I was so tired because of all the packing. So because we're moving home. So what happened was that I set my alarm for 3:33, didn't get up then. Stephen tried to get me up then it didn't work. Hi Mo. Then I set my alarm for 7, didn't get up then, and by 7:30, 8 o'clock, I'm going, holy smokes. I was about to say another word. Holy smokes, I've got to present something and I've got nothing in my hand. So I remember that I started a piece a few days ago, which I didn't have the energy or motivation to complete, and that piece is the piece I'm doing today. Thank you. Hi. So hi Bonnie, who's here as well. So the piece I'm here to do is which I started the heading and wrote 2 pages 2-3 days ago, but I completed it this morning between 8 o'clock and now between 8 to actually about 9:30. So I haven't really read it, so hopefully it makes sense. I sort of know the content roughly, yeah. So the title of this is How to Drop Low Vibrational Hot Potatoes Fast. I think this is very relevant to us, because as we are trying to increase our vibration to ascend and to connect with the other side, there is need for us to drop things that no longer serve us, and also things that are creating low vibration. So this title of How to Drop Low Vibrational Hot Potatoes Fast is I think right for the time we're in terms of our spiritual journey, for those who are connecting to me on this tutorial in this course, or for those who will be Googling and finding me on YouTube. So let's get into it. I see a third person joining. I'll just wave, but I will get into it, and then maybe if there are questions at the end, I can help with some questions, yeah? Some Q&A. So here they go. You are here to live a physical life for your soul's expansion. When we say here, we mean this physical reality on planet Earth. Planet Earth is an experiment of sorts. It has been set up with duality in order for incarnated souls to experience contrast and rise to that learning. In the past, humans lived many lifetimes learning the same lessons or new lessons. Humanity as a collective has come to a point where many lessons have been learned in their third density form. The time has come for humans to experience a different set of experiences in a different dimensional matrix. Hence the ascension of the human individually, but within their collective, right? In the past, duality that has been set up allows for you to experience contrast fully and in a 360 way across lifetimes. There is no longer a need to complete the 360 learning, as the lessons in the many aspects of learning themes have been achieved. Humans in this period of ascension need to become observers in a period of time that requires them to transcend the third density perspective and live energetically in a dimension that they're trying. So let me read that again. Human in this period of ascension need to become observers in a period of time that requires them to transcend the third density perspective and live energetically in a dimension that they are trying to call in. Unlike in the past, humans lived many lifetimes in third density physical form in the third dimensional matrix. It is a time period of transitioning where we are wanting humans to focus their energetics in fourth and fifth dimensional matrices, whilst their third density feet are anchored in the third dimension. We need to be calling that reality in, that paradigm of reality in, although our feet's anchored here. And to do that, we need to raise our energetic self and participate in different dimensions and call that in, more and more certainly call that in. The question is how. Many waves of volunteers have come from far and wide to help with this transitioning, to incarnate in third density form and to raise their energetics. Their vibration, to raise their energetics and their vibrations some notches up, while still anchored in their third density physical form. This is not easy. Hi, Christopher. Yeah. How do you convince humans to think, sense, and then behave differently to how the world is presenting to them? Yes, it is tricky. And they go, yes, tricky, and they're chuckling, right? Of course, much of the ascension is faith-based, even whilst spirituality meets science is an evolving paradigm of reality. Many light workers have a knowing that that is a job to be done. But trying to convince third density humans in an energetically third dimensionally focused world, a world ruled by material science, that is material science, that is what is needed to be done. It is a hard job to do. So this is really interesting. So what we're saying is we are third density. We came in this third density. Our feet are anchored in the third dimensional matrix. For us to call in the new earth, right? We need to vibrate higher. We need to be sensing of vibration, raising our vibration, feeling good, feeling into the future to call that in. We are participating in fourth dimensional and fifth dimensional at different points in time, but we are anchored in third density, right? So our human form hasn't yet reached the fourth density or the fifth density, although we are participating energetically in these matrices, and in moments sometimes we're flipped into a reality of another dimension, but we're still anchored here. So in time we need to build ourselves up vibrationally, and also as we're building ourselves up vibrationally, we need to drop hot potatoes, right? And there are different tips and tricks to do that. But what they're saying is that the understanding of this fifth dimensional perspective, fourth and fifth, and calling that in is quite a difficult one for human beings who have been programmed in third dimensional matrix to get, right? Partly it is faith-based, is that knowing that us light bearers and light workers have come in with. That's why our faith in this is stronger. And partly we are getting evidence for that shift, but that takes a bit of time. Material science takes time to get us the evidence we need. So when it is faith-based on the knowing we have as light bearers and light workers, it is quite hard to convince another of where we want to head, where we think we should head, or to teach in this space as well. So they're saying it is a hard job. That's why volunteers were called in to help with this job, right? Okay. That was all channeled, by the way. So they said it is a hard job to do. The faith we are expecting humans to have is not human. They chuckled at that. So there was a need to infuse galactic energies within the physical form in this now time. Many who have galactic energies braided into their soul form are now awakened and knowing. Yeah. You have the various rays, you have Those born with indigo auras, you have the rainbows, the crystals. They can sense the energetics of the galactic energetics within them, energies within them. They know they are different, and they also know that they have a mission. They're awakening to it. They're remembering it. The energies that have been coming onto Earth are here to do the job needed to help Earth ascend, right? We have sprinkled these humans around the globe in a way that creates an energetic network in order to help more humans awaken, to help humans understand what is happening, and to help with the ascension. These humans we refer to as light bearers and light workers. There are two jobs that light bearers and light workers have to do: to ease all on Gaia, which raises the vibration, or to uplift, which also raises the vibration. The fundamental goal is to raise the energy or vibration so that all on Gaia can move into a new energetic grid, the fifth dimensional matrix. To move requires a refocus, right? When we talk about dropping hot potatoes, it is not to reject the hot potatoes, but to distract yourself from them. Distract yourself from them and send them love at the same time. Even hot potatoes that burn your fingers need love. They chuckle. There must be a song in this one, they said. So somebody write the song to hot potatoes, to the title, Even Hot Potatoes That Burn Your Fingers Need Love. They have a little bit of fun in this particular one, by the way. In this series to date of Living More Lightly and Lightheartedly, we have been sharing from where we stand various ways of lifting one's vibration, including simple tips, tricks, and tools. We have purposely kept it simple and easy to understand. We have kept the insights universally accessible. In the same vein, we wish to share with you tips, tricks, and tools to help ease humans as they focus on their raising of their energetics. So what are common hot potatoes that most people are faced with, and how can they lift themselves out of the pain and suffering? So they gave a list of types of hot potatoes, what they would classify as hot potatoes. Again, they said it's about distracting you from them or managing them rather than dropping them, right? So, one, I am my lowest priority is a hot potato, okay? In that space, it's about the lack of self-love, okay? Because when you're your lowest vibration, you put everyone first and your vibration goes down. You're not looking after yourself or the child within, and therefore you carry a lot. You might carry a lot of the existing traumas or intergenerational traumas that's affecting you. So self-love is a big area. A second one is lack of what you term as success in the third dimensional life. So that impacts on your esteem. So having low esteem. You might be more self-critical, or you might let other people's criticism impact you. That's another area of hot potatoes, right? Of having lots of hot potatoes. The loss of stability. So what happens is there's low security, and that for you creates worries of the future, which keeps you out of being very present. Okay, so somehow, somewhere along the line, the financials got messed up, or that we did not put focus in the financial side of our life, of our human third density life. The loss of freedom. Sometimes the loss of freedom is self-imposed. Sometimes it's imposed by others. But at the end of the day, it is self-imposed because we choose to stay. We have the free will, and we choose to stay, or we choose to allow for others to take away our freedom. This one, they're saying, did a bit of that. Yeah. Another area where there are lots of hot potatoes is the end of a relationship with what they call a pair bond. Pair bond is your other half, yeah, human half. Sorry, the person you're in a relationship with. Another area is the end of relationship with family and friends, right? Inclusive of that brings our vibration down is the death of a family member. Yeah. Another space is loneliness, feeling lost, right? Okay, there's disconnection, alienation from the mainstream is another key area. Bringing up kids that are different and the battles you have. And of course, we know that in my age group, and I'm 55, the kids we're talking about are those that are in the space of the, the early indigos, the crystals, highly sensitive kids, special needs kids who are coming in this lifetime to shift their vibration, to help us shift that. The lack of health or illnesses, including addictions, is another space, right? And then the 10th one is the lack of purpose or passion within a focus area. So all these are big third dimensional driven issues that we are juggling with, because this world that we're in is a world that was created for contrast, and a lot of these could be contrast based. A lot of this we have accidentally stepped into because of free will or the free will of others, right? What they're saying is, in time, Philamae will have content on these, but let's give you some broad-based tips and tools. So what they want to do in this particular tutorial is to say, how do we navigate in a broader perspective when we are faced with something that causes us pain, something that is thrown at us. That's why they're using the metaphor of a hot potato. What do we do? What do we do with that? Okay. So how do we go about looking for these hot potatoes, and how do we address them? So they said step 1 in our process is that we need to isolate. Step 1 is isolating and working on the hot potatoes that matter. So not all hot potatoes are the same, right? There are those hot potatoes that matter, and we need to work with them and find ways to rise towards working with them. And then we have hot potatoes that don't matter. I'll talk about that in a while. The first step is to determine if the hot potato is within the context of your soul's choice for learning. A soul's choice for learning is a contrast delivered in an area of learning for your soul's expansion. So they wanted me to clarify that or to expand on that. So when we come down and incarnate in physical form, we need to, we come here, predominantly most people come here with a learning in mind, right? So let's say if the learning we want to get is self-love, then we'll be put in an opposite situation where it was all set up for us not to have self-love. For some it's self-hatred, for some is a disconnection with the self. We need to find our way back to self-love. Or another piece of learning could be empowerment, right? So in the space of learning about empowerment, we need to actually be in a contrast of disempowerment for us to find our way and rise above that learning, to experience the pain, to then step up to that learning so that we can understand at a soul level what disempowerment and empowerment is about, right? So the hot potatoes in our hands, and we have lots of hot potatoes at every now time, is we need to sort out which hot potato are the ones that matter in our soul's growth, and which are the ones that don't really matter, that we happen to catch one along the way, right? The ones that matter we have to deal with, because our souls came here to get that learning to incarnate it here to get that learning, right? So if we were to just drop it and avoid it and not think about it, you'll get another hot potato in that same area of learning, right? So what do you do? So the first one is to isolate them and figure out which one matters to you. So they continue. If you seem to be consistently facing, as an example, disempowerment in your work life or your relationships, then it is likely that your soul's journey is to rise to the learning of being empowered. If you seem to be consistently facing distrust in your work life or your relationships, then it is likely that your soul's journey is to rise to the learning of trust, right? If the hot potato is one that is set up by your soul for your soul's learning this lifetime, you can either step up to it or you have the power of command to release yourself from it by saying, it's all about manifestation. We manifest at a soul level and we manifest at a human level, okay? So your soul might have manifested the soul plan for us to live through for that learning, but we have the power of command. So you can either rise to it and say, and work with it and learn from it, or you can have the power of command to say, I want to remove this as one of my soul contracts, right? There's a hitch, of course, in the second, right? The only problem with the latter, which is you have the power of command to release yourself from it, is that as an incarnated human, our power of command, that is, our ability to manifest, is less powerful than when we were discarnate souls. We have subconscious limiting beliefs, and we have resistance in human form. So trying to outdo the manifestation of our soul's chosen plan is scuppered by our ego and our subconscious programming. So as humans, we've got so much programming, so many programs that we are in any paradigm of reality. We have many programs that we grew up with in a society, in community, right? We also have our ego to deal with, and we've got our subconscious to deal with. Trying to say, I release myself of this soul contract and plan and I want to manifest myself out of it, it's actually quite difficult. It is, anything's possible. Belief creates reality, but our belief is scuppered in some ways, being in human form, right? So we would advise you, as an easier route, is to rise up to your soul's plan for your learning this lifetime. Okay? So they said, okay, so if you understand that your soul manifests more powerfully because as discarnate souls, they don't have resistance, and they have a very strong belief to manifestation form, then rising up to your challenge is really an easier way from a human perspective. It is really hard in contrast learning because it's set up to deliver the contrast and some pain, but we need to figure out a way how to actually rise up to it. Yeah. Bonnie says, should we all be doing neuro-linguistic programs or hypnosis to change our beliefs? Yes, that would help as well. But the thing is, we are here to learn a lesson, right? Doing NLP can help you change your belief structure and loosen it, but loosen the grip, right, of limiting beliefs on it, but also rising up to your challenge is a way to do it. And thinking your way out. If you look at a lot of my other YouTube clips, it actually teaches you how to use what you would call NLP to get yourself out of it. One of the clips in my YouTube series is changing the labels. Again, that actually helps you there. A lot of how to move towards high vibration. There are also different ways in that vein. So the answer is yes, it helps. Yeah. Okay. So how do you do this? Firstly, do the sleuth work and find out the patterns that point out to you that theme is indeed your learning theme, for which contrasts are set up for you. And as you live life, once you realize that your soul have come here to live a contrast, and that contrast is going to be delivered to you constantly till you rise up to that learning, you will actually see a pattern in your life of that theme of learning, be it in your personal life, be it in your work life, be it in the relationships or the connections you have, because it's set up like a play with many different, a very dynamic one. So if you don't learn that lesson in the first sort of scenario setup, there'll be another scenario, there'll be another. So what you need to do is do your sleuth work, reflect on the past and say, what is this thing that's happening in my life all the time that as an unawakened person, I haven't really noticed, so I fall into the trap of my programming and I then slip up and then not rise to that learning. Because when you actually find the theme, and sometimes when I connect with people and talk to them, I can actually figure out the theme for them, right? I did that recently as well. Once you find the theme, then it's just, what is the work that you do to try to work with it or rise up to it? So let's work to find out the theme. So then when you've sort of figured out the theme, and when a contrast arises, look at the metaphoric sky, as if you're talking to us on this side, right? And say, I see what you're doing, and watch me rise to it. Easy peasy, mateys. What they're trying to do is shift your belief structure about not being able to rise to it, right? What they're also doing is, which they continue, is when you do this, you become an observer, not a victim. You become the holder of they're adding, holder of your own reins, not being put in a situation as a victim, not seeing yourself as a victim in a situation. They're pointing to me, because I do that all the time. I'll go, I see what you're doing, right? Stop it. Sometimes I say, stop it. Sometimes I say, okay, watch me. Let's get on with it. Watch me do it, right? Because I know what was I found out what my big theme was, right? Okay. Then, once you change the vibration of this is what I'm gonna deal with now. Let me take the rein and not cower, right? Then they say, they want me to show you this. Look at the problem as an observer and walk around the problem in a 360 kind of way. So this is your problem. Just walk around it and look at it from here, as an observer, okay? Because every problem have got perspectives around it, okay? And see it from all angles and ask yourself, what does and they're asking you to write your theme in here, right? What does a trusting or empowered or whatever the theme your soul seeks to learn, what does it look and feel like in terms of actions? So if I'm empowered, what does it look and feel like in terms of my actions? If I'm a trusting person, the opposite of your contrast, what does it look and feel like as a trusting person? And they're pointing to me, about finding my voice. If I look at that problem, so another contrast comes up and I go, okay, I walk around it and look at a perspective that is presenting to me, and I'll say, what does it mean to me if I want to be a person who has now found my voice? What does that mean to me? What does it look like? What does it feel like, right? Feel into it. Okay. Now, then they said, chunk down your problems into bite-sized pieces. A lot of people who have a problem, like at one point when my marriage broke up, I had a problem. I didn't chunk it down, and it felt like I was being sucked out into a black hole, and I just could not get out of it. I'll give you my tool for how I got myself out of it. But by not chunking down, what happens is you drown in that space. So what the next step after you've looked at it and looked at it at all perspectives, you start chunking it down. Then when you've chunked it down, then sort the pieces into what can be resolved by you and what can't be resolved by you. The things that can be resolved by you is usually what you can control, and what you can't control is something you can't resolve, right? Okay, so here's where they say, Philamae, please share your past, future, insight, and pizza wedges tool and juggling 5 balls tool you invented for your separation. Yeah, so this is where they want me to bring in to help you with some tools. Okay, so when it comes to the past, future insights, when my 21-year marriage imploded, broke up, in a specific moment, right? It was a one moment thing. It wasn't a dragging out. It was so I was stumped, and I was, for 2 months I was really upset, and I wasn't sleeping or eating for 2 months, right? The good news is I always have a quirky perspective. I lost a lot of weight, 10 kilos, right? In probably a month, but I knew that it couldn't continue. So I set myself up and I said, if you were consulting with CEOs and MDs and blah, 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 what would you say to them? So immediately, and I wasn't awakened then, so I took myself out of my victim mentality and I started walking around the problem I had. It was a 21-year marriage. I had children. I had my whole life intertwined with the other person, right? So what I knew was that I needed to, so I set up, I said, how would you solve this as a strategist? Because I am a business strategist. So I started chunking it down. So what I found was, I won't do the past future yet. I'll bring it in a minute, the insight that I got along the way. So what I did was I decided to create a pizza with wedges, right? And I put the key issues I had, the key issues that I was struggling with, when you break up the many balls I was juggling with, into different wedges. The reason why we get into a black hole and we get sucked down is that all these wedges are connected with each other, and all of them are hard to sort of to isolate and work on, but you need to chunk it down. How they touch each other will work itself out if you can chunk it down into pieces. So what I did was I had the trauma that created the breakup was in one small wedge, all right? It didn't take up the whole thing. Because the trauma that broke up the marriage could have taken up the whole thing. And that was the thing that was making me drown in that space. So I could only feel sorry for myself in that one wedge, if at all, in that one wedge. Then I put another wedge, my children, right? I want the best for my children. So in that space, I needed to be gracious to my ex at that point of time who actually caused the trauma. So I decided that whatever I did when it came to the children, I will be gracious, because it's really important for the children to have their dad, right? So by graciousness, so what I started to do was, when it came to the kids, the only way, because the kids were living with me, I was the primary carer, the only way I could do that well, right, was that I needed for them to know what the dad's doing and what the dad to know exactly what they're doing. So I wrote pages of updates for them, and I created spaces for them to see their dad and made it really easy for them to see their dad. In that space, I needed to be gracious. And that was easy to do when I contained it in the wedge of children, graciousness, right? And then I had other wedges, right? There was this wedge on self-esteem. I was hitting my lowest self-esteem, when it came to a breakup of a marriage. And so what I did was I said, okay, how do I deal with that? Because in my head is, if I was to be advising a marketing director or a CEO or whoever in my business teams, what would I say? So if it's the space of lack of self-esteem, because I saw myself poorly, what do? So my solution was, I'm going to date anyone that moves. just date anyone, because of underneath it, right? And this was almost 8 weeks after a breakup of a 21-year marriage. Because if I have low self-esteem, right, then if I date somebody, they're going to be kind to me, and they're going to say loving things to me, and they're going to say, even if it's not true, oh, you're lovely and you're beautiful and blah, 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 blah. And I will feel good, right? So there was a hot potato, a broken up marriage on something that I didn't choose and I felt really rotten about. But I'm finding ways to distract myself from the trauma. I will work on the trauma in that small wedge, but I'm finding ways to distract myself from the hot potato, from that nasty hot potato in that wedge, right? So I'm making potato bakes in one wedge. I'm making, stuff with potato. Cut potatoes up, make potato printing, right? Change the shape of the potato, change the function of the potato, right? So I worked on it wedge by wedge, and I isolated them into wedges. Then I was doing this, I had another insight. In the work that I do, which is business consulting, my role is to create insights and develop insights an insight for me from a business perspective or marketing perspective is a discovery that can lead to growth. Okay, so for them it's financial growth. For us is whether it's the growth of your emotions or helping your emotions in this particular case, or spiritual growth or intellectual growth. But anyway, so the insight that I got was I can't actually. I was constantly going into the past and trying to figure out what happened. But I realized that in going to the past, it got me into this black hole. So I decided so the insight came was, I can't let go easily of the past unless I've seeded for the future. So I decided that half of my wedges had to be of the future, not of the past. So I started creating wedges and started seeding it. It really doesn't matter what those wedges are, but it needs to be future focused, right? Because they are fundamentally stepping stones for you, right? So whatever resonates with you, that would help. Along the way, to get my distraction, it's a really good thing for not going down the spiral of low vibration. So I am a tomboy, but I started collecting what we call Blythe dolls, which is those big head dolls with 4 sets of eyes, because what I did was I knew that I had to distract myself, and I had in my 40th birthday I got a Blythe doll and I loved them, and they made me happy. So what I did was, one of the wedges was distracting myself through a chase, right? A chase in a hobby. So what I did was, the Blythe doll was something that actually made me happy. So I said, I'm gonna put a low budget per Blythe doll, and I'm gonna hunt for them on eBay, secondhand, right? In that hunting, it will distract me and I'll feel really happy because I love customized ones, right? So I went for customized, I went for unusual looks, and so I went hunting. And then when I do get it at a reasonable price, I get excited by it because it's a little bit of a win and I get excited. It took my mind away from the trauma, which I'm dealing with, but only in one wedge. So then I buy it, and then 2-3 weeks later, right, a doll appears, and it makes me happy. It's like my happy pill. I found out that when I was going through, and I'm trained as a qualitative researcher, which means there's psychology underneath that as well, that when I was going for therapy, it was really quite difficult because therapy for me wasn't working, because I knew the techniques that they were using, so they can't use those techniques on me. But on top of that, I didn't personally believe that talking about the same issue and going round and round in circles and talking about it negatively because you want to delve into it is gonna get me out. So what I did was, I said, no, I will use some distraction. I used distraction quite a lot, in terms of how it helped me get out from a low vibrational state to a higher vibrational state. Dating did that, right? And once I get into a higher vibrational state, then when I look back at the wedge of trauma, it is not as bad as I thought it was, okay? So when you start building these wedges and building the future into your pizza, right? It's actually a healthier way, rather than making that one wedge where the trauma is the whole pizza itself, okay? And then another tool that I created was the juggling of different balls. So your life, my pizza, I noticed were interconnected, right? So let's say for someone, maybe let's say a family breakup is a problem, but connected to that is therefore financial stability, and connected to that is this. And if all your balls are connected, right, when one ball falls, it takes all the balls down. So what I created was another tool, which was to have at least 4 or 5 balls that are different, right? So they're not connected at all. So my buying doll balls was not connected to much at all to the trauma of my breakup of marriage, because that was a happy place, right? In some senses, my dating, right? My mind never really thinks about, I'm thinking of being flustered of what should I wear, my hair, it wasn't really connected to the trauma of a breakup of a marriage. It distracted me from that. So I had different balls, and you can choose hobbies. You can choose the stuff that you've been wanting to do but never did. Go for dancing lessons. Find different ways to raise your vibration, right? But find disconnected balls, because if the balls are connected and all of them are connected, when one takes a dive, it pulls them down. So those are the three different sort of an insight and two different tools that I created to get myself in a funk, out of my funk, which is about 8 weeks after my split in marriage, the sudden split in my marriage. I started creating my strategy and using my tools, and it got me out really quickly. Yes, we will still go up and down when it comes to the area of contrast learning that we are meant to have, and life on 3D world is not easy, but it helps you get out quicker. I have had friends who took many years to get out of that difficult emotion of being split up, and it's something that they did not choose. So in that way, I'm finding that tool is really useful. So hoping that will help you. Okay. They wanted me to remind you about the hot potatoes you have. Oh, sorry, chunking down the problems into bite-sized pieces. They want you to remember that resolving the ones that can be resolved in your contrast theme, and let those that so what they're saying is that when you chunk it down in your bite size, and if you know that your contrast theme is to get to empowerment but you are disempowered, any chunk size bit that's linked to the theme that you have in your self work found out, you need to try to work on those ones, okay? And all the others that you don't have any control of or does not matter, you have to find ways to let that go. To help you do this, you need to acknowledge this, that you can only change yourself. You can't easily change another. That you can only change your own situation, that you can't change another person's situation. So when you do have hot potatoes, and it is not your hot potatoes, or it is something that requires someone else to change, yes, you can advise, but it is not something you want to get your low vibration down on. Okay. When you start isolating and working on your soul's chosen area of expansion, you'll find that the contrast situations that are set up for that area dissipates energetically. You get less tested on that area, right? Mine happened almost overnight, by the way. Yeah. When I got awakened, I got distracted, and my contrast area of not having a voice and all the situations that came with it almost disappeared overnight. Yeah. Because my mind was focused energetically on something else, and it was calling other things in, right? Every now and then, though, you will still get a little test here and there on it, but there isn't really that biggie, right? Because you have graduated. Your life will seem to have been released from an ongoing pattern of pain and suffering. Okay. So that is on the hot potatoes that matter. Okay, now let's talk about step 2, they said, is isolating and distracting yourself from the hot potatoes that don't matter. Okay. For many of the hot potatoes, the grievances in your life that you are faced with, right? There seem to be more those that seem to be more random once you sorted your potatoes into 2 piles, one that matters in your contrast and one that don't, right? Those that have a historical pattern so when you sort them into 2 piles, those that have got a historical pattern around them, which is contrast driven, and those that don't. We're now referring to those that don't have a pattern or theme around them, right? There are many tips and tricks to help you drop them, okay? Being aware and understanding why they exist, and being discerning about which ones you involve yourself in and which ones you drop from your to proactively work on list is the key. Because when you are now aware and understand why we're here and the contrast that will help with our expansion, when you get that, right? And you get that there is a theme that you're working on, that's the one that matters, then the others don't really matter. That awareness alone helps you, right? It helps you let go on the less important ones. And not every hot potato is one that you want to put on your to proactively work with list. You don't have to, right? Many hot potatoes are created by other people's free will within the context of their contrasts. Example, your sister is going through divorce. You love her, you listen to her, and you give her your support, and even help her with her court case because you feel you have skills. This is compassion and love, right? If you understand that we are here for a contrast and this is her contrast, you can help and support her, but do not let your guard down by letting your energetics go down with your support of her. You still need to protect your energies within you. Our one job in this lifetime is to raise our vibration and keep it high. Helping raise another person's vibration will help the cause only if it doesn't lower yours at the same time. So you need to say, okay, for those hot potatoes that don't matter, it might matter to someone close to you. Yes, help, be compassionate, be kind, do what you can to help raise their vibration. But the minute that situation takes you down, it is not where you're meant to be, okay? It is not the actions you're meant to take. So what you need to do is, whilst helping others, you need others raise their vibration. You need to keep your vibration high. We can't help other people when we don't have in us high vibration, because high vibration connects us to love and wisdom and insights. That's the way we help people. Yeah. As you walk on your spiritual path, you get better and better at doing this. You get better at loving and being kind without losing your foothold in the fourth and fifth dimensional matrix. There are so many contrasts that are not yours to experience the pain of. So do not involve yourself in the pain. Involve yourself in the kindness that helps raise another person's vibration. If sitting down and listening daily to the frustrations of another brings your vibration down, and you're not able to counsel that person out of the black hole because that person doesn't want to work towards it, then step out of the black hole. It may be better to sponsor their counseling sessions. Sometimes their listening to experts and professionals may help them more. So what they're trying to say is think creatively of how to help someone else raise your vibration. And the creativity is, how do we help this person raise their vibration with compassion, kindness, and love without taking ours down, right? And they say you can think creatively to work with that. Okay. And then step 3. Once you've done, you know which hot potatoes are yours to deal with, keep that. And you know which hot potatoes are not yours and how to deal with, then what they're saying is there's another step in this way of raising your vibration. They said, reprioritizing yourself on self-love and create some boundaries is the third step. Many of your hot potatoes will not exist if you have self-love, and with that, have created some boundaries. When you love yourself more, you're more likely to stick up for your own freedom, for personal time that's yours, for having choices, and so on. When you have self-love, you begin to set up boundaries, and you will hear yourself say, I will help this person or this situation only if it doesn't hurt me in the doing of it. By hurting, in the time of ascension, we would wish you to include hurting your energetics, right? It's all about your vibration as well. So in these cases, the hot potatoes will end up sitting outside your boundaries. So when you love yourself and say, I am important, my happiness is important, my freedom is important, anyone or any situation that's gonna take your freedom away or your happiness away will be outside your boundaries, because you will make sure you set up your boundaries up high. Yeah. So they were giving examples of someone saying, my partner doesn't allow me to go out. When there is self-love, you realize that you would never trade off that freedom. So either establish that boundary within the relationship and tell your partner, this is what I'm doing. And if it is not possible, then walk away and establish it first up in the next relationship. So at least you learn from the last one. Okay. Another example. My girlfriend always has problems and I have to help her out with them. When there is self-love, help with advice if the issue is new. But if it's repeating and your girlfriend is not wanting to work on it, then suggest you have already helped them with advice on this before, right? Don't get frustrated because that is generating low vibration for yourself. It is not your contrast to sort out, and it's bringing your energetics down. So find creative ways to help her that doesn't bring your energetics down. Okay. There is a caution on the bit on self-love. Self-love can unknowingly be fueled by the ego. So beware. Self-love with self-awareness rocks, right? So it's really important to improve our self-awareness, build and develop or look into self-love and build those boundaries. So they went to step 4, which is about self-awareness. So step 4, connect within, go into self-inquiry to build on your self-awareness on where to next. Okay. So they said, when number 1, you have worked on the contrast you have to have for your soul's learning, that big kahuna of a potato you cannot drop or avoid, the one you need to work through. Okay, so when you've done that, tick. When you have learned how to drop hot potatoes you didn't need to involve yourself in, okay, that one's tick, number 2. And number 3, when you have developed self-love and boundaries to stop hot potatoes that are not yours from being thrown at you because your boundaries are up, then it's time to take the next step. Step 4, to connect within. Connecting within is key because it helps you unlock your soul's pathing. Okay. When you are on path, you will face less contrast situations. Your soul will stop sending you negative energetics to tell you, you know, when you're off path, your soul talks through you, through your emotions. Your soul will say, you're off path, matey, here's more negative emotions, bang, 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 right? So when you're on path, you get less of that. You get less hot potatoes thrown at you as well, right? They chuckle, we have nothing against hot potatoes. We are divinely loving, of course, so we love everything, but it's a great metaphor, they said. So when they talk about connecting within and doing self-inquiry to increase your self-awareness, they said there is a whole tutorial in this one. Hell, Philamae and Stephen's Spirituality 101 being taught in Sherwood Love's retreats will help fast-track you on this. It's coming, we say. We've got much work to do, they say. We say, nah. Keep vibrating high and it will unfold effortlessly. So at the end of the day, what's happening is that connecting within is key. When you connect within, you get insights as to what your soul path is. When you've dealt with the contrast will no longer keep coming up. When you're on path, you might see, you're walking on this path and you might see contrasts coming at you, and you look at them and say, are they on my path? Do I need to address them if I'm going down this path? And if the answer is no, you can walk away from it. Don't have to fight every battle that comes at you. If it's not, once you connect within, you will know what your path is. You get pieces of information to help guide you in terms of what your path is. You will still get contrast, other people's balls thrown at you, hot potatoes thrown at you, but you might have some of your own, which may not be either your main contrast to be resolved, and you're resolving it, and you're moving towards your soul path. So at the end of the day, you become more discerning. There is a YouTube clip on becoming more discerning in iPhimo by Philamae, so go check that one out. Okay. Finally, whilst we have called them steps, they are focuses, as steps imply time, and there is no time. So for the 4 focuses they talked about to help you drop hot potatoes fast, which is the title, right? They are really focuses, and a lot of these focuses actually are happening at the same time. The reason why they described it as steps is to teach you in a way, in a chunk down way, what they are. Okay. We hope this tutorial helps you. In the same vein as the other tutorials, we're wishing you to live a lighter life and being more light-hearted in your perspective towards life. This tutorial helps you chunk things down a little more and teaches you to become more and more of an observer. We are loving bringing this series in for light bearers and light workers to live more lightly and light-heartedly. Do go into the YouTube channel iPhimo by Philamae Gray to access the other pieces of insights and inspirations. Loving you lighter, lighties. They're calling you lighties. Yours, iPhimo. And they gave you a kiss and a hug. So that's all for the tutorial about how to drop hot potatoes. What they did was they chunked it down. They're saying that there are key, like 10 key areas that are laden with hot potatoes. In time, they will come through and give tips and tricks and tools to help you live more lightly in those spaces. But what they did today was to work on the broader perspective of how to chunk it down, how to differentiate between what matters to you and your soul and what doesn't really matter, and how to actually work within that. So I hope that is helpful. I'm just checking in if anybody's got any questions about it. Was that useful? I'm just getting some feedback. Let me know if that was useful. Okay, I'm seeing the hearts coming up. So thank you for the feedback. It's always worthwhile in each of these clips while they're long to listen in again, because you do get more and more insights around it as you're listening in. The other thing with they're wanting me to share with you is I am an activator. I activate people's light DNA within them. So in a lot of these clips, when you're watching it, I'm activating you at the same time. So I'm doing an etheric job as well as helping you with the 3D world as well. Okay. Thank you, Bonnie, for the feedback, and more for the feedback. Thank you for joining me for this tutorial, and I hope you enjoyed the course. Hopefully we will see you guys on the next course. I will definitely put this out on YouTube, and encourage other lightworkers and teachers to share all the clips that are there. They're for people to use or share. So if in your Facebook page you wish to share this, feel free to do that, and point people to subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. Janine said it was great, every word, thank you. And Amor as well. Okay, so if there are no questions, I'm just gonna sign off. I'll come in and out and do question and answers, and I'll gate crash people's lives. I'm actually, the last week or so, 2 weeks we've been packing. Last week, sorry, we've been packing, so I've been a bit busy. But I hope that's helped you. Okay, guys, see you again soon. Bye.